on challenge.
Coming up on the show, Dark Souls 3 rekindles my love for gaming's most sadistic series.
John asks if games that pride themselves on being difficult are great or just grating.
Please, sir, may I have another?
These Soul brothers and sisters celebrate the end of an era, and the race is on to show a Dark Souls boss who's boss.
I've won. I've definitely won.
Praise the sun. It's Video Game Nation. From the outside, Dark Souls can look like an elitist club, the sort where you have to partake in a bunch of humiliating initiation rituals before you're let in. And once you're in, you've then got to learn all sorts of complicated rules, but the only way to do that is by breaking them first.
That reputation has been earned because of the game's infamously unrelenting difficulty and willful obscurity. We'd grown so accustomed to playing games on our terms and being led by the hand throughout that Dark Souls and its predecessor Demon Souls felt tough to the point of unfairness.
Only these games weren't unfair, they were just hard. And for those who persevered in the face of such refreshing adversity came the reward of an astonishingly conceived fantasy world brimming with original ideas, memorable enemies, and countless secrets.
The truth is that gaining entry into Club Souls can be painful and frustrating, but only if you choose to suffer alone. The Souls games are intended to be shared experiences, from the messages that you can leave to warn fellow adventurers of impending doom, to the ability to call in help from more experienced players.
The messages you receive in Dark Souls, it'll always be, oh, secret wall, and you'll spend like an hour trying to punch a wall that there's no secret behind.
I remember when I was playing Dark Souls 1, I think it was one of the messages that said like, drop down here, and it was like some ravine. I was like, nah, bruv, what are you trying to do? Trying to kill me? Trying to make me jump off the cliff, you know? And I was like, no, I ain't listening to that. But this turned out it was treasure down there. Made me look like a fool.
The messages I get tend to be quite dull in Dark Souls. I don't think I've ever really had a good one. I like to leave messages that are sort of more useful for general life. Oh, there's a fire over here, that's a bit boring. I like to write something like, avocados contain more fat than you think. Or always do a price comparison before renewing your home insurance. Just helping people out.
Eventually, that magical moment comes when it all clicks into place and you sign up to become a full-fledged member. But once you're in, you're in. And from then on, it's very difficult to judge a new Souls game from any other perspective than one of slavish infatuation. And that, dear viewer, is my problem with reviewing Dark Souls 3. I'm programmed to love it, no matter what.
Even so, I wondered how I'd take to its more methodical combat after relishing Bloodborne's offense-heavy spin on Souls action, but within minutes I was back to my shuffling, shield-raising self, tentatively rounding every corner like a schoolboy trying to avoid the local bullies. Clearly, there's room for both approaches, but this is TV, so you have to have a favourite.
I think I personally prefer Bloodborne, just because I'm a massive wimp, and just there's something about hiding which just made me really anxious, and so I just wanted to get in there. I think I quite like the gun as well. That feeling when you parry someone, when you really get them, it's just, it's really satisfying.
I preferred Bloodborne's style of gameplay purely because it forced a sort of fast, adrenaline-filled sort of action upon you by making health recovery happen. If you get back in and start hitting someone, that just makes it a lot more exciting for me, but I know loads of people that like rolling and the shields and stuff.
I'll be honest, I am terrible at these games. I'm just useless at all of them. So quite offensive, defensive, it really makes no difference to me. I'd like a game in the series where there's no combat at all and you just sort of wander around having a nice time. Maybe a latte.
Dark Souls is like super fun. I love Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 2, not so much. But I don't like waiting around for something as it feels like it's doing something scary to me. Also, like the Bloodborne, the horror element so much was what got me. I don't remember the bugs as well. You have the bugs that come down and they suck your face. And it's the first time, I think, since I was a kid that I felt like a game was actually sucking my face off, which is good. It's a good bang for your buck there.
Which style of gameplay do I prefer? That's like asking me whether I prefer to have needles stamped into the skin between my fingers or drinking a strawberry and shattered glass daiquiri.
Dark Souls 3 is in many ways the friendliest in this series yet, which is a bit like saying that Pestilence is the friendliest horseman of the apocalypse. Regardless, that's how it feels to me, but as I say, I've already gone completely native, so what might seem like a concession to accessibility might still seem completely arcane to non-believers.
I can say with some degree of confidence that checkpoints are more generously spaced out and have been intelligently placed so that they arrive just as you feel like you deserve one. It's also not shy about loading you up with dozens of weapon and armor types, not to mention the materials you need to power them up. Covenant, Dark Souls' clever way of weaving online player versus player battles into the story, are now easier to join and far simpler to switch between. All these tweaks serve to make the game feel fairer and less laborious than before, giving you more time to focus on the real challenges at hand.
However, with so much emphasis on minor tweaks and streamlining, there's very little that feels genuinely new. In fact, the only exception is the addition of weapon skills, although, to be fair, it's a fairly big addition.
These special abilities use up your focus points just as sorceries and miracles do, and vary greatly between weapon types. There are over 70 in all, which gives you some idea of just how many options you've now got in battle, and range from fairly mundane shield bashes and powerful slashes to spectacular elemental attacks and devastating combos. The only catch is that you generally have to switch to holding your weapon in two hands to use them, which leaves you without a defensive option. And there's the classic Dark Souls rub. Skills are only there to give you more choice, not tip the scales in your favour.
Elsewhere though, it's business as usual, for better and for worse.
You have yet another meticulously constructed and utterly beguiling world that's just begging to make use of your console screen grab function, and the sheer creativity of the creature design is almost enough to make you forgive them for horribly murdering you again. But it's also inherited the technical flaws of the Bloodborne engine, which means that you'll sometimes swear that the game's camera is the true villain of the piece, aided by its loyal sidekick, inconsistent frame rate.
If Dark Souls 3 really is the conclusion of the Dark Souls story, and I'm pretty sure it is, it's the perfect send-off. It's probably not going to win over any newcomers, although it does make an effort to welcome them, not so much with open arms as a sort of, you might as well come in then. But for those of us who are already under its spell, it's an assured and utterly unmissable finale. Now here's John's hair and the human it controls to talk about those games that delight in making us suffer.
Hello, television friends. High def, high five. When Bloodborne came out, and whenever a new Souls game appears, there'll always be someone who turns up to cheerlead the idea that isn't it great that games are hard again, as though every single game should be as cheerless and unforgiving as a nun who likes to punch. And today, that'll be me. Games that never seem to leave the tutorial sicken me to the core. You'll journey for days, then, in the closing hours of the campaign, small text prompts will appear to remind you of the controls you've just spent the last week using. Look, if I still don't know what button to press to jump over the fence after I've been playing for 30 hours, I probably shouldn't be playing. I should get somebody to check my pupils and ask me if I can remember my name and who the current Prime Minister is and if I know why I'm bleeding from the head. You see, I made a game once. It was hard and unfair. An American interviewer said he wanted to punch me in the face. A French interviewer started his chat by saying, "Tell me, John, tell me about sadism." And while that's an eye-opening difference between French and American culture, because the Americans threatened violence and the French found a way to make it fun, it does raise a question about the nature of difficulty in games. So, how hard should a game beat a player? If the player is always the hero always needs to be challenged, and that can be anything from a ravenous horde to personal insults. Portal 2 knows it's a slow burn of logic puzzles, so a lady computer says you're a bit dumb and you've gotten fat. But you've accomplished something, you know you've accomplished something, and then the game tweaks your nose just enough for you to think, I'll show you, oddly attractive robot version of my high school maths teacher. But sadism itself isn't good game design. It needs to be just cruel enough to inspire masochism in the player, just a sense of, oh, I knew the rules, and I failed. Please, sir, may I have another? The old Sierra point-and-click adventures would arbitrarily murder you for the slightest invisible deviation, which is very funny, but it's also why I never completed any of them. Because the only rule they establish is don't do anything we don't want you to do, and we haven't told you what we don't want you to do. Constant arbitrary punishment is hilarious, but it's the enemy of actual fun. However, rewards gathered from a hard quest, There have been tears and high fives all around my house just to see an achievement unlocked pop up. When I play games, I tend to find out what the rules are and then ignore them entirely, and I have the most fun because I know that I'm not playing the game correctly, but I'm still winning. I am a goddamn nightmare at Scrabble. I've only ever been totally outfoxed by one game, and that was homebrew classic Cat Mario, a game that makes you learn a set of rules by unlearning others. You think it's Mario, it turns out it's an inversion of Mario, and then it turns out it has its own logic. Frustrating, aggravating, satisfying, smart, I died 99 times, but it felt incredible. It seems to come down to markets. Remember, this was Super Mario 2 in the West, and this was Super Mario 2 in Japan. Why? Because the perception was it was too hard for a Western audience. I don't know what it is, but so many exceptionally difficult games seem to come out of Japan. Ghosts and Goblins was a 2-hits-and-you're-dead platformer with a jump that couldn't change direction and an ending only accessible by completing the entire game twice. Shoot-em-ups like Jittergy are sensory extravaganzas, winnable only through a combination of reflexes and the muscle memory that comes from 1,000 deaths. Now, if I know all of this, how well do I actually do at the Souls series? I have played all 3 Dark Souls and I have never gotten anywhere, but I love them because you have to figure out the rules for yourself, and they are hard but sensible. And of course, if you can flout those rules and beat up something you were meant to sneak up on or evade an enemy that's meant to be unstoppable, well, the only arbitrary thing in those games is me. And we all know what the penalty for disobeying in Dark Souls is.
Time for a break now, but we'll be back in roughly the same time it takes to die 29 times in Dark Souls. Tell us about your favourite or most harrowing Dark Souls deaths on Twitter using the hashtag VGN, and we'll see you in 3.
There's no way I've not won.
Services. Get into Sky Movies this spring.
Welcome back. It's part 2 of the show, which means that it's once again time to hear from our beloved experts. This time, we let them loose on Dark Souls. Sadly, none of them survived.
Obviously, Dark Souls has its own unique art style, and there are particular gameplay elements that are unique to it. But I think what really makes it stand out for me is the difficulty level. Not because it's particularly original, but precisely because it isn't, if you know what I mean. So years and years ago, games were really hard. Like, they were absolute nails, and often if you died, you had to start all over again from the beginning. And I think what Dark Souls has done is it's sort of brought back a bit of that sort of toughness and combined it with a more modern system of saving and checkpoints to create a really interesting dynamic and some incredibly difficult games.
I think it's because it makes you play the game at its own pace. It's like, people always complain that it's difficult, but it's not that difficult really. If you take your time with it, if you observe like the enemy's movements, if you invest your points wisely, it's a fun game. I mean, older games were way harder than that. Look at the old Mega Mans and Ninja Turtles on the NES. That was hard.
The Dark Souls series isn't really one I've played all that much, but I've watched people play the entirety of the games on YouTube and Twitch and places like that. And it's a game that I love hearing about and reading about. I read full articles about people and their experiences of the game. I've even pre-ordered a book that's coming out soon that's all about just people's experiences of playing Dark Souls. And yeah, it's really unique and very hard. And I prefer watching it to playing it because I'm very bad at it.
I think it has to be the world building that they do. They create such an amazing atmosphere. And the fact you can play these games for years and still go back and find things and find pieces of lore and kind of make connections that you didn't the first time you played them is something really special in a game.
Everything makes the Souls series so unique. It's crazy. I can't believe I missed these games when they first came out. Apparently the dude who made it, Miyazaki, it was inspired by when he used to read Western fantasy novels as a kid. He couldn't understand all the words, so he would only understand little bits of the story, and he was like, yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna tell a story and then leave all the important details out and let them make it up. I'm like, yeah, man, it's lazy, but it worked on me.
I guess it's unique in that the Venn diagram of people who like the game and people who like sticking nails through their cheeks is just one circle.
My favourite entry in the series, you might have heard of it, it's a Japanese spin-off called Dark Souls 2 Souls, and what you have to do is you have to murder Jazzy B, which is really difficult because he keeps coming back to life.
I think mine has to be Bloodborne. I don't know if that's a controversial thing to say or not, but I just really loved the style of it. I preferred the combat, and yeah, I just thought Bloodborne just hit the nail on the head for me.
Probably Dark Souls 2, purely from an aesthetic level. Again, because I've mostly watched them being played. Dark Souls 2, I think, looks the nicest.
I think it might be the first one. The first Dark Souls, because me, like everybody else, we just weren't ready for it. We just weren't ready for how difficult the game could kind of be. We just weren't used to that sort of pace. And when it came out, it was just like, whoa, what's this? What's this game? I'm just dying all the time. Why am I dying? Why am I dying? Am I rubbish? Am I rubbish? Start questioning your own skills as a gamer. And I was like, oh gosh. But then you get better and better, and then you feel good. And by the time you get to the end of it, you feel elated.
Favourite entry in the Souls series is, I know it's not a Souls game, but Bloodborne, or maybe Dark Souls 1. I like, Dark Souls 1 did so much so well that Dark Souls 2 didn't. It just had that interconnected, I've run all the way up here and then I found a shortcut. I'm back at the beginning of the game, I have to start the game again. And do you know what I mean? Like, push me with that. Do you know what I mean? Make me start over and over again every time and make me hate you, because I'm buying this to be abused.
I don't have a favourite. I really want to like them because I love games and I like the idea of it, but I just don't like things to be that hard. I've played all of them and given up on all of them incredibly quickly.
I kind of want to see them do a completely new IP. You know, something I feel like Dark Souls has kind of almost run its course. Not to say that Dark Souls 3 is kind of tired or worn or anything, but more that I just want to see Miyazaki move on to something new. You know, Bloodborne was such a kind of move away, kind of, you know, in terms of the environment. I'd love to see something like that. Maybe like a kind of like Geiger-esque sci-fi setting, because you've had the kind of Lovecraftian cosmic horror of Bloodborne. So then maybe something like that, you know, you have the aliens and that, maybe we could just like shift them along to a more sci-fi setting. I don't know, but I would love to see something new.
I want to see From Software go back to their old school games. I don't know if you guys remember Otogi on the Xbox, the original Xbox. Wicked game. That was basically Dark Souls beta version. It was basically your character was so powerful, you'd just be flying about, slashing enemies, hitting enemies, flying into pillars and buildings and stuff. Awesome. And then Dark Souls came out and they took away all those powers and you just felt so helpless. So I'd love to see them go back to the Otogi series, because that series was amazing.
In all seriousness, I'd like to see an infinite health mode. Seriously, because they look amazing, they're a lot of fun, but I'm never going to be good at them and I'm never going to put the hours in, but I want to see all the nice stuff. I know gamers will, oh, that's not the point, you're not going to do it, but you can still play it on I hate myself mode if you want it to be hard and horrible, but I just want to look at all the snazzy graphics and see what they did, because I'll only ever see the first half an hour.
Now, like any Dark Souls game worth its Estus, Dark Souls 3 tries to kill you at every opportunity, and that includes its tutorial. So I thought I'd set up a challenge to see which of my fellow VGNers can take down the tutorial boss with the fewest deaths in the shortest time. Sounds easy, but as you'll see, it really isn't.
So, as far as I've been told, I just have to beat this boss in as few times as possible, which sounds simple enough. Right, now what I want to do right here is like just immediately get a few hits in. Yes. One more. Roll, mate, roll! Should hit a flask. Should hit a flask. Gonna hit a flask. Estos. Now he's on his second form. Quick tip for all you fans out there. Second form. All you gotta do, stay close. You keep it close. You can take him out. Look at this. Chris Slight has done it that quickly. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. All you got to do is chill, and you beat him in one go. Really calm.
Dark Souls, eh? I used to hang out with goths in the 90s. Every idiot I knew was called Dark Soul. did this go wrong? Oh, I can't believe it. There we go. No, stop it. I don't care about you. I don't care what you're trying to do. What you've got to understand is you're wrong. Oh, did I die? Leave it alone. Oh, dear. Oh. Oh. Oh, did I? Stop it! Ah! Ah! No, stop it, Gunter. Okay. No, Look, nobody's going to ask you to the ball if you're going to carry on like that, all right? Oh, there you go. Oh, good. Whatever's happening's happening. Did you know this was coming? Did you all know? Oh, excellent. He's popped his acne and it's killed me. Come on, that's enough. There you go. There we are. As it turns out, euthanasia is a lot more difficult if they resist.
All right, enough of these amateurs. Let me show you how it's really done. Sword removed. Hello. Oh, I got greedy. I got greedy. I got greedy. Slow and steady wins the race. Isn't that what they always say? He's going to do his big explodey thing now. Yep, there it is. The most important thing about Dark Souls, stamina management, right? Forget the red health bar. It's all about the green one. You've got to let that stamina regenerate. Otherwise, you are a sitting duck. No, 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 no. Nope, nope, nope. No, thank you. No, ma'am. All right, and that's how you do it.
Well, before I proceed, I'd just like our viewers to enjoy this lovely shot of my new creation. She's a stout, elderly female pyromancer who goes by the lovely name Pork Chop. And already he has awoken, and I've already pelted him with fire. Keep lobbing the old fiery balls. Oh! Uh-oh, I've backed myself into a corner. Stupid, stupid, stupid. Oh, and I'm hit, I'm hit, I'm hit. No, that's it. Drink the esters. Drink the precious esters. And he's down. Yes. First time. Good work, Pork Chop. It was close, but I knew she had it in her.
So just beat this man in a fight and then we're done. Why is he not moving? You said fight. Oh, hello, hello, hello. Hit him, hit him. How do you not get killed? Ugh, I'm going to die again. It's not fun, is it? That's the problem. Hit him. Oh, no. Oh, God. He's dead. I didn't even have time to drink my second bottle of squash. All right, hit him. Hit him now. Hit him with a big stick. Ooh, poo. I'll be honest, mate, I don't think I'm going to do better than this. If I don't do this one, I'll admit defeat. And I mean, Dan Mar will be happy if he wins anyway. And he needs this more than me. Yeah, no, I'm dead. Dead, mate. It's like going up to a bully and calling him names so he'll hit you. Yeah. Dan Mar wins, probably.
And just like our poor challenges, this episode is down to its last sliver of energy, and it's all out of Estus flasks. So there's just enough time to implore you to tweet us using the hashtag VGN, or join the growing ranks over on the official Video Game Nation Facebook page. Join us again next week for the first of 4 top 10 shows dedicated to some of the greatest consoles in gaming history. See you then.
Channel your inner athlete tonight at 7:30 and get exhausted just watching them. It's a triple bill of Ninja Warrior here on Challenge.